Welcome aboard everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Quick update here on POWR Ledger, one of our favourite bags here at Whales of Wall Street. So guys, very quickly, obviously there's been a big jump, we'll check the chart out in a second, but of course the last few hours, and quite interestingly, actually to be fair, a lot of the jump did occur yesterday as well as today. But here we go, POWR listing is here on Coinbase. Now of course Coinbase being one of the massive exchanges out there, especially in the US. POWR Ledger, for those that don't know, we follow this one and particularly Energy Web Token, EWT, quite heavily. Go and check out our POWR Ledger intro video, which you should see on the screen right now, but also we'll leave a link at the end of this one. So keep with us right now while we talk through this a bit. So tokenomics within energy is something that I'm very passionate about and interested in. In a nutshell, guys, when people talk about like the smart grid and AI algorithms and things like that, the way we're going, especially with electric vehicles, which is why I talk about all this nonsense fuel crisis and stuff, we're entering a phase, guys. And for those that aren't involved in crypto or blockchain, or certainly don't know much about it, they will be oblivious to anything in the background. Now, for those like me, I tend to take a lot of intake on real world scenarios that are occurring or about to. Okay, so in my industries that I've worked in, particularly over the last few years, especially in smart home, AI and IoT, I already see the pattern ahead. And I didn't know about blockchain until about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that's why now I'm super excited about this space and learning about both aspects, because I now see the link of how it will all come to fruition. We're talking about things, I'm talking generally here, things like passports, digital currency, digital energy, transportation, supply mechanism, anything and everything you possibly think of will be powered by blockchain. You might think that's crazy, but it's coming whether you like it or not. Follow the money and follow the projects. Not necessarily about scalability and this, that, and the other, which is very important, by the way, for speed and amounts of transactions to occur at simultaneous times. But the actual aspect of blockchain, the way transactions occur, smart contracts, the behavioral patterns of you doing things right now for your smartphones and even browsing, is already collating data as you as a human, you as an individual, and humanity in general, to the point where AI and machine will take over. That sounds a bit crazy, but it's happening right now. And eventually things will be done on your behalf. But this also relates to the energy sector. So a lot of people out there now, including myself, are investing in solar panels, our own batteries, our own converters. You can link them up, for example, to potential hotspots and Web 3.0 hotspots and things like this to transact your surplus energy to other people that are on the system or bridged system as well. So you see things like Energy Web Token and POWR Ledger here. Go and check out the POWR Ledger case studies. We covered some of them in the last video, but they are phenomenal. And particularly in Australia, where they're trying a lot, put things together, guys. Think about the trade problems right now. Think about the lockdowns. Think about everything that all these countries are doing. They're protecting themselves because they are now trying to fight between themselves for dominance in these spaces. And I can assure you that Australia probably will be one of the very far ahead countries in the world when it comes to energy domination in tokenomics. This is why things like Energy Web Token are very heavily involved in the likes of World Economic Forum, the Agenda 30 programs, as well as a multitude of global dominance in various different governance across the world, country-wise also, and including, in particular here in the UK, we've got like EDF, which I think is French actually, and also like Shell. I'm not sure who owns Shell these days, but they're big partnerships as well as other ones. So you've already got the big top companies getting involved in this, as well as companies like these taking advantage of a system that will literally slyly move itself in. People will think it's normal as it occurs and not even think for a second right now that this is on our doorstep. Guys, you might feel a bit of tension in my voice here. That is because I see what's going to happen. And these aren't conspiracies, these aren't theories. They are purely evidence within these kind of projects of what they're capable of doing. And if you look at the patterns of the narratives of media, if you look at the patterns around the world, you take a step back, as Stephen Hawking, one of my favorite people of all time, said, be curious. We don't do enough of that these days. Be curious, ask questions, delve into anything and everything. Just because one person or one load of people said, even 99% of people say something, doesn't mean it's right. It could just mean there's a controlled mechanism there that so many people on a behavioral psychological effect have taken that lead. That is humanity, right? We do these things. But for those like myself that question everything and open their minds, you will see, excuse the pun here, the power of blockchain and especially the ledgering or DLT systems within the energy sector coming. Watch this space. POWR, POWR, EWT are my favorite ones. There are other ones that we covered in a previous video as well that I'm keeping an eye on, not necessarily investing in right now, but this particularly is of great interest, and the extra listings are very helpful for the price, of which we will go on to now. Smash that like button if you're finding this informative. If you're hearing or listening or seeing, whatever you're doing, do smash that like button. As long as you're not driving, make sure you stopped, or at least wait till you're home or something and remind yourself. So let's see this movement here. This is obviously around the Coinbase listing. Clearly, we have had a 163% jump up. We've already had a very nice retracement both yesterday and today. That retracement in itself currently, as of recording, looks something like 20%, which is pretty respectable. What are the observations here? I've already had comments on Twitter saying, oh, should I buy in now? My answer is, well, one, I can't give financial advice as always, but two, I personally will always wait for the dips. Now, there's a few observations here. Previously, the all-time high back here, I believe, on the 10th of April, around 70 cents, we've absolutely smashed through that, so I'm proudly going to move this up here. Look at that from our previous videos. It is pretty much bang on the fib retracement chart here on the long term. What does that say to you? It means that many traders are using these kind of tools to emphasize where they may tail off. Could you be any more accurate than that? I think we're probably maybe a millicent or whatever they're called off of that. We hit so far today, guys, an all-time high of 94.7 cents. Not quite, interestingly, to that full 95-cent mark, or indeed to the $1, which is very interesting indeed. But I want to zoom in. I think this is mental. So obviously we've done these charts a while back, and then we continue to always upgrade them. But you can check with the previous videos if this is accurate or not. But I have not moved any of this around, and it is virtually very much so on that line. So clearly key investors are interested in these levels. It's rejected, and we're now back down into this kind of like blue area here. And a bit more of a macro level, I will actually move this one out and actually change the color slightly, just so we're clear on where we are with this. I'm just going to adjust it to one of these lower points here, and where we've just taken it up to this higher level, just to see where we may come to on the macro area. And I'm just going to change, very quickly turn off the background element of the colors, if the processing power will let me in this laptop. Here we go. So guys, yeah, very much so around obviously this move from the Coinbase announcement. But what can we tell here? Well, there's some areas of interest now, and particularly from those previous areas where we saw the previous highs. There was one in back here as well. This was the previous all-time high, 10th of April, which is what we covered, 70 cents. So there is an argument to say that this could potentially be some area where we see a bit of volatility. But I would be on the argument that roughly around this point here, I'm just going to draw this line in and give my explanation to this in a second. Where are my horizontal lines? So roughly, very roughly, around this section here, even the dogs agree with me on that one as well. The post person always interrupts me when I'm doing these sort of midday videos in my lunch break. But hey ho, so this could be of interest on the way down at a very lower scale. But you could also identify some areas around these top parts here. Now, what I'm quite interested in is like tail off periods, particularly around areas where we've hit recent sort of resistance. So we've got these areas here where we've gone slightly over and retraced quite a bit. We've had resistance at these levels before, here, and kind of here. So it's actually almost relating to this fib retracement line. In fact, let's just put it down to there. just for the argument's sake of what we've already mentioned with the fib retracement already. So this could be an area, particularly from myself, where I might be interested in bagging some more POWR on the way down. This isn't an asset that I hold. I hold a lot of EWT, but not this one. Do you know what? I stupidly never listened to my own advice. I said round here, I said, this is the kind of token and asset you want to build for the future. This is probably the sister equivalent of EWT in magnitude of where it is in its position, in its life cycle, and its awareness. Okay, so this has come on. You're going to get a load of people FOMOing in because it looks on the exchanges like KuCoin and Coinbase where it says like the biggest risers of the day kind of thing, and people just go, oh, I'll just jump in. Don't know what it is, don't know what it's about. Fantastic. And then they get absolutely wrecked 9 times out of 10 because they get up here and then it just flops, and then everyone gets agitated and disgusted with the project, and they then abuse people on YouTube saying that it's a scam coin. We'll have a look at what it is first, guys, but this is clearly a massive move, 163% as we've mentioned. But I do believe, obviously, we're in this correctional phase. There may be another jump up as people wake up in Asian markets in a few hours' time, where we might see a bit more of a tail up again. But do anticipate corrections on these kind of moves. You get the announcements usually on any exchange listings, and then you have a retracement, kind of like this move here in September. But obviously it's going to be a bit more kind of parabolic looking because of the big influx and the big drop down. And because we don't have the full support mechanisms at the key areas around here, you do have to start considering levels of areas to jump back in. So if you are interested in this project and answering the question on Twitter, I'm not giving financial advice, but what I'm saying personally is I'm waiting for lines here. And I would also maybe put a second one, actually, to be fair, in line with around about here. So these 3 areas are of great interest to me, around just over that 60 cent mark, just under or maybe just over that 50 cent mark, and slightly lower down here at 44. I don't really anticipate fully to come down here in a short space of time. It would be a bit more of a longer term move, but don't forget we're also entering a bull market soon, and great anticipation of these kind of projects. So you could see, actually, because I was always in the believer that this project was massively undervalued anyway, that we might start seeing some really nice, juicy, higher price points now moving forward to get stability out, push forward. So we're going to monitor this over the next 48 hours. We'll try and do another power update at the end of this week. But I just wanted to give you a reflection of what's going on, in case you had any questions, what kind of aspect of this project actually is about. Go check out our other videos, and we will reassess this in a couple of days' time. But do not please try and FOMO into things without consideration as to where it is currently in the chart, what's making that occur. Do your own research. If you see big spikes like this, go and check out what's going on. And it entices you further in the future to think about things in advance. Like the projects that you're really interested in, you're going, oh, I wonder what that might go to. Check out the roadmaps, check out possible listings. All of these things reflect massively in charts. Finally, guys, before we wrap up, indicated down here on the right hand side, which you can see, big strong buy mode, which is reflecting on what I just mentioned about FOMOing and stuff like that. Weekly, obviously, going to be up 9%. Year to date, 712. Interesting to see when this retracts a bit where we sit with these numbers, but I do also believe they're going to be massive anyway. It's had a great ride this year. This is definitely a future project, in my opinion, but we will definitely see some great momentum moving forward with this year. And let's just check out before we leave. This is suggesting a potential opportunity of around about over a $2 price point. Let's see if that plays out. If you guys out there think of a price prediction, shout them out in the comments. Let us know if you're holding POWR, whether it's recently or perhaps a while back, what price point you got in. Don't need to know your bag amounts. Please do not share that, because it just opens up the opportunity for people to scam you and things like that. I just want to know price points you got in. I really get interested about that stuff and how people will get early adopted. And if it is newer, that's not a problem either at all. I would just say congratulations for holding one of the big powerhouses of the future in the energy sector. I'm Simon. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next power video. Bye-bye.